This is Ashley, and this is June. And you are watching Finding Ithaca.
Xander, I'm wondering if you could show me where you think Holland might be on the world map. I don't know if you have any idea where it is. What do you think Holland might be in? I'm gonna take a guess. Which continent do you think it would be in? Like, which color would you identify? Green? Oh, you're getting pretty hot. Okay, good job. Ava, we've now pulled up a map of Europe. Do you think you have an idea of where Holland might be? And it's right next to Germany, and it's yellow. It's yellow, and it's right. There you go. You found it. That right there is Holland. Good job.
Here is true fortitude, someone doing his duty despite pain and loneliness and danger. Someone willing to hold on, to hold tight and hold fast, as long as it takes. Someone whose resolution outweighs even the weight of the sea.
Holland is a country where much of the land lies below sea level. Only great walls called dikes keep the North Sea from rushing in and flooding the land. For centuries, the people of Holland have learned to keep their country safe. Even little children know that the dikes must be guarded and watched at every moment, and that a hole no larger than your finger can be a very dangerous thing. Many years ago in Holland, there lived a boy named Peter. Peter's father was one of the men who tended the gates in the dikes called sluices. He opened and closed the sluices so that great ships could pass out of Holland's canals into the Great Sea. One afternoon, in early fall, when Peter was 8 years old, his mother called him from his play. "Come, Peter," she said. "I want you to go across the dike and take these cakes to your friend the blind man. If you go quickly and do not stop to play, you will be home again before dark." The little boy was glad to go on such an errand, and started off with a light heart. He stayed with the poor blind man a little while to tell him about his walk along the dike and about the sun and the flowers and the ships that are far out at sea. Then he remembered his mother's warning and wished that he should return before dark, and he bid his friend goodbye and he set off for home. As he walked beside the canal, he noticed how the rains had been coming down. The rains had swollen the waters, and how they beat against the side of the dike. He thought of his father's gates. "I am glad they are strong," he said to himself. "If they gave way, what would become of us? These pretty fields would be covered with water. Father always calls them angry waters." Suddenly, he noticed the sun was setting, that it was growing dark. "Mother will be watching for me," he thought, and he began to run towards his home. Just then, he heard a noise. It was the sound of trickling water. He stopped and looked down. There was a small little hole in the dike, through which a tiny stream was flowing. Any child in Holland is frightened at the thought of a leak in the dike. Peter understood the danger at once. If the water through a little hole, it would soon make a larger one, and soon the whole country would be flooded. In a moment, he saw what he must do. Throwing away his flowers, he climbed down the side of the dike and thrust his little finger into the hole. The flowing of water was stopped. "Oh," he said to himself, "the angry waters must stay back now. I can keep them back with my finger." Holland shall not be drowned while I am here. And it was all very well at first, but soon it grew dark and cold. The little fellow shouted and screamed, "Come here! Come here!" He shouted, but no one came to help. It grew colder still, and his arm ached and began to grow stiff and numb, and he shouted again, "Will no one come? Mother! Mother!" But his mother had looked anxiously along the dike, rowed many times since sunset for her little boy, and now she had closed and locked the cottage door, thinking that Peter was spending the night with his blind friend. Peter tried to whistle, but his teeth chattered. He thought of his brother and sister in their warm beds, and of his dear father and mother. "I must not let them be drowned," he thought. "I must stay here till someone comes, even if I have to stay here all night." The moon and the stars looked down on the child crouching on the stone on the side of the dike. His head was bent, his eyes were closed, but he was not asleep. For every now and then he rubbed the hand that was holding back the angry sea. "I'll stand it somehow," he thought, so he stayed there all night long. Early the next morning, a man going to work thought he heard a groan as he walked along the side of the dike. Looking over the edge, he saw a child cling to the side of the great wall. "What are you doing down there, little one? Are you okay?" "I'm keeping the water back," Peter yelled. "Tell them to come quickly." The alarm was spread. People came rushing from their homes with shovels, and soon the hole was mended. They carried Peter back to his home and to his parents. Soon the whole town had heard how he had saved their lives that night. They would never forget that brave little hero of Holland. Catch you next time.
It's raining outside. Isn't it a perfect day to read a book? Or watch Finding Ithaca?
Go!
One. Hi, this is Layla. And Lucas, and you're watching Finding Ithaca! That should be the bloopers. Bloopers.
Bloopers!